Hey guys, welcome to Jack's Treasures.
What's up?
This is our ongoing series of questions and answers, and today is storage unit, our Monday storage unit tips. This is tip number 2.
Yes.
Number 1, I forgot even what number 1 was.
Number 1 was where can you purchase storage?
Oh yeah,
units?
where to find storage units to purchase, which that's probably the number 1 question that Tracy and I are asked. We are
other than what is the best thing we've ever found. I'd say that's number 1.
That is true too. Well, today's tip is to have the space and the time. Realize you need space and you need time to process the storage unit. And what I mean by that is, okay, you buy a storage unit. It's all fun. You go online. You see a storage unit. You see the pictures. You go, oh, I really want this unit.
Right.
It's a 10 by 10, and you can see that this thing is full. At least it appears to be full. Okay, and so you buy the unit. You get excited. You buy the unit for whatever money it was. Doesn't matter. Okay.
What do you do now?
Now what do you do? Well, you have to go over and you got to pay for the unit, and you buy the unit, and you clean out the unit, which that's going to be another tip that we're going to be giving
We'll
too.
get to that eventually.
Yeah. And then you bring the unit home. Now what do? This is the part that most people don't get right away. They don't think this part through. You just bought a 10 by 10 that's totally full. That's 110 square feet of storage unit that you now have. If you rented a truck, you got to unload that stuff. Now, where are you going to unload it? Do you have the space to unload it in your garage? Do you have space to unload it?
Do you want to unload it in your garage?
Yeah.
That is a bigger thing.
Right, exactly. What if the unit, you're going through the unit and you find rat droppings? Now you're potentially bringing cockroaches or rats into your garage area or your space. Do you want to leave it outside? Well, do you live in an area that gets a lot of rain? We do. During springtime, we would have storage units. We'd buy storage units, and I'd have them in the trailer. And we were literally, just a matter of fact, the last storage unit that we bought, we were driving home from that storage unit, dodging storms. Okay.
I mean, here on average, in spring and fall especially, I would say it rains 3 to 4 days a week on average.
Yeah.
Summer and winter is less often, but it's still pop-up showers all the time.
Yeah,
so
and if you're down in South Florida, you get them every day.
We can't leave things
I used to live
outside.
Down there. But so you got to think about that stuff, and where are you going to do it? Now, a lot of people think, well, I'm just going to process it sort of like they do on Storage Wars, open them all up at the storage facility, and then walk away with just this gem or this thing. It doesn't work that way. Not unless you have a huge crew. And of course, we're talking about people that are buying for the first time, or these are tips for people that are buying the first time.
We're assuming that you're like us, and it's just 1 or 2 of you working. We have processed them at the storage facility before, but that has its own drawbacks. Number 1, you're on a limited time frame. Usually you have anywhere between 24 and 72 hours to get everything out of there. Most facilities will not let you use their dumpsters.
Yeah, about 90% of them. As a matter of fact, one of them banned me from storagetreasures.com one time because they said I cherry picked and left the rest of the stuff outside, which I did. But I was coming back to the facility to get the items because I had to make some room in my truck, and we donated some stuff to a Goodwill. We took it literally from the storage unit to the Goodwill and went back, and I had already got banned and stuff.
That was a whole process.
Yeah, but the whole thing is you need space. That is the biggest thing about today is you need to have space. Not only do you need to have space just to process the unit, you need to have space to put the unit that you buy. Okay, you buy they're boxes, they're tubs, they're bags. That's the biggest one. There's trash bags full of clothes. You got all of this different stuff. Where are you going to put it once you get it to your house? Right. Do you have a storage facility? We have a storage facility right now that we rent out, and we have stuff in it that we have up on the marketplace. So we use it for more than just that.
But it is good to have that space available to us if we buy a unit and I wasn't comfortable bringing that stuff straight into my house.
Right.
Which we have purchased units that have been like that.
Moldable. As a matter of fact, we got a video of a rat jumping out of a storage unit in our carport.
It wanted to come get me. We don't have a carport anymore. We used to have a carport, which was a good place to unload at, but we don't have that anymore. So if we had that situation, I would probably work out of our storage unit mostly.
Here's the biggest thing. When you buy a storage unit, realize that not everything in that unit, probably, I would venture to say almost about 20 to 30% on average of the stuff that you get in a storage unit is resellable. All of the rest of it, you have to do something with that.
Our last unit, I will say, is one of the most, like, the highest quantity of it we've been able to resell. And even at that, I'd say 50% of the stuff was trash or going to Goodwill. Yeah. And this was a great unit. Yeah. But there's going to be those, like, Walmart clothes. There's going to be shower curtains. There's going to be sheets. There's going to be pillows.
Plungers.
There's going to plungers.
Why? They do
ironing
food.
Boards.
That's another one. There's food always in a storage unit. And by the way, in 90% of the facilities that we've ever been to, I'd actually say 100% of the facilities we've been to, there's a big sign out front, do not store food. I would venture to say that well over half of the storage units we have had. I mean, well over. We're talking about 80% have had food in them.
Weirdly enough, I'd say the number one food we found in there is grits. I don't know why. I mean, we are in Georgia, but why are there always grits in storage?
That and Navy beans.
Well, that was something.
That was just one unit. But so here you go. You get this unit. You got it back to your house. Now, what do you do with the unit? Well, you better put it someplace. It's just out of the elements is one. Okay, unless you're fearing that there's cockroaches or rats or something like that, then do you want to bring it into your house or do you want to leave it out in the carport? And if you do, check the rain, check the weather, check to make sure that it's going to be okay. Is it going to snow? Is it going to be this? What is it going to do? Okay, have the space, plan out your unit before you buy it. It is the biggest thing that Tracy and I learned after buying units for the 7 years or however long that we have been buying units.
It'll be 10 in November now.
10 years in November that we have been buying storage units and having that space. And let me just tell you, Tracy and I have bought units that are 5x5s. We have bought units that are half that. Like it's only half of a unit that's 5x5. Like there's a unit below and a unit above.
That's the Gothic kitchen unit.
Yeah. We've bought units that are like that. We've bought units that are as big as 20x40. Okay. And as a matter of fact, we bought in like multiple units that are 20x40 at the same time. So we bought in units at all sizes. My number one advice when anybody ever asks me is to start small.
Yes.
Okay. Unless you have like a warehouse or you have a totally empty 5-car, 4-car, 3-car garage.
But let's imagine you've never bought a storage unit and you are thinking about getting into it. Find a 5x5.
Mm-hmm.
Even a 10x10 is going to be more stuff than you expect.
Yes.
And it's very easy to get overwhelmed. We've been to many yard sales of people that bought a storage unit and they're like, what the hell do I do?
Well, you can tell because they leave the unit outside.
Yeah.
They leave the stuff outside. They leave tubs outside thinking, well, it's a plastic tub. It's going to be fine. It's not.
Those are not waterproof.
Okay. You don't know what's in the thing either. It's got food inside the thing and animals will get into it. There's a thing. So now you have the unit. You have it at home. You have the space. You've unloaded it and you put it away. Let's just say it was rat-free, bug-free, whatever it might just say. I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing that Tracy and I do. When we put it in, especially if we rent a truck, when we put it in the truck, I light off a bug bomb and I put the bug bomb in the back of the truck. Okay. And then sometimes, just in case, and I'll leave it overnight. And that way, if there's any bugs in it, hopefully it'll kill them before we bring them into the house.
Another thing is, even if you're planning, you know what, I got plenty of garage space. This is a clean unit. I'm going to be fine. Have a backup plan because sometimes things do not go as planned. I'm thinking of that one unit we bought at the place that had the dead rat in the unit. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
This unit, it looked beautiful online. It looked clean and there was new stuff and there was in the front. But once you got back there, some of the stuff had decayed.
Oh, you know which one it brings to mind? Mm-hmm. The Yeti unit. Remember the Yeti unit?
But speaking of this one, just because I know what we had to do, it was beautiful up front. In the back, it was a lot of trash. We wound up having
there was a sofa, I think, in the back, a sofa chair that something had lived inside of it. It was a rat because we found the dead rat
But
carcass.
We had to literally rent a U-Haul and we basically processed this unit at the dump. We loaded the stuff into the U-Haul and we're at the dump pulling stuff out and throwing away 95% of it and be like, oh, well, that's some jewelry. We can clean that up or whatever. But we were literally processing that one at the dump. So that's like, you got to have these little backup plans in your head. What are you going to do in the case of a bad situation.
And see, that's a great point of what you made right there. And what we were talking about earlier with how much of the unit is going to be resellable. On average, in my opinion, 60%, 40%, 30%. My average is about 30% of the unit is resellable. So what you're going to do with that rest of that stuff? Well, you got, this is what happens. You get a unit. Some of that stuff's going to be resellable. Some of it is you're just going to donate because it doesn't have the value for you to waste your time.
We're talking Walmart clothes, common DVDs, VHSs, DVDs, books,
things like that, books like that. And stuff that you do. There's no reason to try to sell them.
But they're also not trash. They're useful to somebody.
Right. But you're going to find trash, i.e. food. Okay.
Paperwork.
Okay. Which technically you're supposed to give the paperwork back to the facility, but not always. And for some oddball reason, people love to keep old junk mail. Junk mail is one of the biggest ones.
One of our things is every single unit we try to find the Chinese menu.
Yeah.
That's like a little game we do because we always find a Chinese menu that someone
And then there might even be stuff that you're going to keep for your own personal use. Yep. My gosh, Tracy,
cleaning
first
supplies.
Off, these shelves that we have right here, I have not bought a shelf in probably 10 years. And we've had 50 shelves easily. Plastic tubs. Another one. We just keep them, and then we sell them
stuff
for
like
ourselves.
Pine Sol, aluminum foil, light bulbs, body wash, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's stable, and I'm gonna take it out and use it. If it's something that me or my family can use, we're gonna use it.
Right. So when you're processing the unit now you need to have space for each one of those things. Okay, I'm gonna put all of the stuff that I'm donating in a box over here. Okay, well, when that box is full, what are you going to do? Are you going to take it to Goodwill and then come back and then finish processing? Probably not, unless you live right next door to a Goodwill and you walk it right over, which most of us don't.
We have to drive 20 minutes into town.
So what do is we put it all in one certain area. Okay, well, now you're talking about some more space. What is the stuff that you're going to trash? Well, you have a limited amount of space in your trash can that they're going to pick up. Okay, so now, is it mattresses? Number one, I'm not going to resell mattresses. Used mattresses, blank. I'm not reselling them. Okay, and I don't live on a 10-acre farm.
Like
yes,
someone.
Corey, we're talking about you. Okay, just in case, we'll link down below. That's my first shout out. My first shout out for this show would be Grams and Pops Vintage. They live in it's Corey and Teresa. They live in South Dakota, and they have a spread. I call it a spread, and so he can burn them. He burns mattresses.
We live in
a
neighborhood in a suburb. So.
Right. And so I have to take those someplace. Now I have to figure out, okay, where am I going to put it before I trash it? I don't want to, yes, you can leave those things outside, but I'll give you the bad part about that. Animals love to move into those things when they're outside is one. And two, if it rains, a mattress that's just the mattress part, not the box spring, that thing just went from like 20 pounds to 200 pounds, okay, because it absorbs freaking water.
And your neighbor may not want to see that. You
exactly.
may find yourself on the Facebook.
Or your mother-in-law. She might not want us to see a mattress out there. So now I have to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to put it back onto the trailer. I got to make a dump run, or I got to put it on the truck, and I got to make a dump run. I'm not going to leave the thing inside my house. And to tell you the truth, I don't bring mattresses inside any facility that we've ever had. Our mattress, we were lucky. We didn't live in a spot where we had our own house, and it was a private little house on an acre, and nobody would really bother. So we had mattresses stacked up, and then I would take them all to the dump when we were done.
But now that we're in a neighborhood, we've got to take it straight.
So I have to have space to put the stuff that I'm going to be taking to the dump now. Now, literally, Tracy and I, one of the units that we bought, it was called Rats and Cash, because we nickname all of our units.
We do.
It was called Rats and Cash. And so we went to Home Depot on this unit because it had so much junk and food and all kinds of rats. Yeah. So we went to Home Depot, and I literally bought 10 big garbage cans, those big gallon garbage cans, put them on the back of my trailer, and we literally were throwing stuff from the storage unit into that, and I was driving it straight to the dump before we even did it. So in that case, we were processing from the thing. But then we also had all of those trash cans, processed some more units, threw it right into there so that we drove it straight to the dump. But my point with all of that is I needed the space to put all of that stuff. And that's probably one of the biggest problems. Now, let's say you're keeping a bunch of stuff. Well, what are you going to do with it?
you can't list it immediately unless you have a vibrant live selling channel with multiple people who can constantly put stuff online for you. You're not going to get that stuff moved in a day or a week.
No, most people don't anyway. They create a death pile. So what do you do with it? You take it and you put it on your death pile, right? What are you covering up when you put it on your death pile?
More death pile.
And that's generally the less desirable listings that you want to do. I've heard a lot of people with, shout out to my friend Dan in Demand, who loves to sell clothes. Shout out number two. Dan in Demand loves to sell clothes. Not a lot of people likes to sell clothes. So now you have a death pile that has clothes on it, and you're bringing over a box and you're putting it on top of that. So now your death pile is getting more and more stuff on it from the storage unit, and then you start cherry picking your death pile. And I promise you, everybody does that. I do it. Tracy does it. You know, Tracy and I, we have this little thing when we buy a storage unit. The first time that we get the unit, we pull out one item each to try to sell it that night.
Yeah.
That's one item out of thousands of items that are in the storage unit. And the stuff that you're going to keep. Where are you going to put the stuff that you're going to keep? Is it replacing something? Tracy posted a video the other day where we had this JBL box, and we had an 85-inch screen TV, flat screen TV that was working. Still have it. It's in the room over there. But I haven't watched it because we don't have the space for it. And there you go. It's a space for it. We just don't have the space for it. We have another TV.
If you happen to want a large screen TV and you're in the West Atlanta area, give me a shout out. I will sell it.
I will let you know. It's
out from under him.
It's $500 is what we're going to put it. It is a $1,600 flat screen TV, and it works beautifully. This TV is absolutely beautiful. We paid $20 for that unit. But what are you going to do with that stuff that you're going to be keeping? I'm going to replace the dresser that I have in my bedroom. Okay, well, you got to take the bedroom out. You got to take your bedroom in. Now you're talking about more space. What are you going to do with your bedroom? To me, it's one of the biggest things is just having that space to be able to having a table. Okay, how are you going to process it? You've seen Storage Wars. What do? Well, if you're Barry, you just throw the stuff out in the thing, you process it right there. If you're others, you cut the boxes open, you process it right there, and then you just leave it all. Now, 9 times out of 10, what you do when you process is you do it on a table, and you're pulling stuff, and you have tubs over here for keeping, tubs over here for Goodwill, tubs over here for donations or trash or whatever it may be. You need to have that space to be able to do that, because once you start putting stuff on the table, you're taking away your own space to process, and we are guilty as hell for doing this all the time. And we've been doing it for almost 10 years now.
Yeah. You
know, so just having the space. So it's almost my number one tip. My number one tip when anybody asks me, they said if I want to buy a storage unit, what's your best tip? Have the space, have a plan,
and start small.
To how long is it going to take? Okay, how long does it take to process a unit?
It varies
based on the unit. Okay.
We've processed like a 10 by 15 in a day before, just because it was easy to process.
Yeah.
It was okay. There's a lot of donations. This is sort. And then there's been ones that are like a 5 by 5 that are jam packed that may have taken us weeks to process.
Yeah,
because
we're still working on a unit that we bought 3 or 4 years ago. Still working on that one, mainly because there's so much of it that we kept. Okay, so
mainly because he refuses to get all these video game systems up on whatnot for you guys.
That's not it at all. I just want to test them so that I can be accurate with my listings on those. Not going to say that, but that is my number one tip on that. All right, guys, this is our ongoing series. We're going to go over some more tips for storage unit buyers. Again, this is just our opinions. You might have a completely different opinion, and you can go ahead and make a comment down below. Also, like, share, and subscribe. And if you could, please help us out. We have a site down below that we're working with. They don't know that we're working with them. It is Stop Soldier Suicide. We're trying to just help to raise awareness of the fact that 20 soldiers a day are committing suicide, and we just think that number is atrocious. Okay? So like, share, and subscribe. And as always,
pet a cat.
Peace out.
Bye.